Hello, I'm Staff Sergeant Noah Griffin, and I'll be covering the maintenance tracking project that I created. So first I'll be going over the introduction, just go over some things about my job that is required for you to know to understand how I apply these concepts. And then I'll cover how leadership and management skills were used, how team performance concepts were used based on the needs of the team, how team diversity was managed, and how utilizing the project management concepts impacted our team. So Regional Maintenance Center is divided into three regions. CONUS is where I work, and then there's PACAF and USAFE. So we are on call 24/7 to respond to outages over the phone. Instead of using a standby phone, if there's a job that we're currently working, we pass it off to PACAF when it's at the end of our duty day, and then same for PACAF to USAFE, USAFE to CONUS. And then the customers call the three different RMCs based off of the Zulu time. So CONUS will end up getting a lot of USAFE and PACAF calls, and USAFE will get a lot of CONUS calls. We use Integrated Maintenance Database System, IMDS, and it's pretty terrible. It's not user friendly, and it's terrible for tracking maintenance in general. So there's this term that we use called double documentation. It means that you're using a separate tracking device external to IMDS. And that's for day-to-day use for you to actually track jobs, but you're still using IMDS to satisfy the AFI in which we're required to use IMDS. So IMDS was upgraded right before the COVID-19 lockdown. So upgraded in quotations because they pushed an update and it broke, and it was broken from March to about 3 weeks ago. So we didn't have a tracking system for 7 months. So using the DAC, diagnosed IMDS failure. So that one's pretty obvious. But we also, like I said, we had double documentation that we were doing already, but we were using a paper system. And the paper system worked fine at first, but during COVID-19, we were working pretty weird shifts. It was 2 people, 1 day a week. So 2 people would come in one day, two other people would come another day, 2 other people another day. So it's just these 2 people passing off information to the next 2 people to the next 2 people. So a lot of things got lost using paper, and it just a lot of jobs weren't being tracked. Systems would be down for weeks, and we had no clue. It was a disaster. So we adapted by me creating an Access database for us to track, and I communicated that the paper system was ineffective to track these 100+ jobs. And then I used informational power. I completed a class on Microsoft Access, and I received a certification. So these are 2 screenshots from my database. I want to show you what it looked like to stress the fact that it's not just a simple Excel spreadsheet, that it's actually pretty intricate, and that I spent a lot of time on this. And this is just one screen right here with 2 jobs. We have 123 jobs right now. And if you want to find out more information, you just click Job Sheet, and it provides so much more information. And down here is examples of the other screens. So personnel tracks man hours and jobs per person. And then we have a supply log right here, and it tracks every part that's been ordered. And just some other forms that's useful for our day-to-day operations. So I was the creator and the refiner for this project. I say I'm the refiner because I would ask everybody for feedback. Some people would try to step into that refiner role, but in my opinion, they were giving me terrible feedback, and other people agreed too. So I decided to tune them out and just kind of focus on the voices of many and try to reach a goal for everyone, you know. And then Tech Sergeant Perkins was my advancer / exeter, and so he really motivated me to get this project finished. And he's the ultimate authority of what goes, and he's going to be pushing out to everybody. So when we implemented it into CRMC, there was no problem at all because it was me and Sergeant Perkins going up to leadership and kind of showing what it could do. I'm very technical. I'm very much in the weeds, and so I'll answer the technical questions, what can and can't happen. And Sergeant Perkins kind of focuses on the overall impact it would have on the mission, and stresses that very well. So when I pushed it to PACAF and USAFE, it was a disaster because I didn't have Sergeant Perkins with me. I had to fill in for that advancer role, and I really focused too much on the technical side of things and got too deep into like the idea of coding, and I focused too much on the possibilities. I had my heads in the clouds, talking about what could be in the future instead of what we have now and how it could help the mission. And it really, that meeting didn't go over too well with USAFE. So team diversity. The three RMCs are one team, but three different work centers. So I have all these numbers here. I just want you to kind of look at the total workload is 81% for CONUS, and then total personnel is 47%. So this shows that that we are undermanned in CONUS, whereas Europe and PACAF, they're overmanned. So obviously they take a very different approach to completing maintenance on these systems. So we're using this, we try to use all kinds of things to ease the process of all these jobs and systems. And so we do double documentation. Even though it's double the work, it saves us time by tracking all these things, and it alleviates a lot of man hours because we know what's happened before and we don't have to start over on troubleshooting. Whereas they can just probably, if they double document, it would be literally double work for them because they have such few jobs and such few systems that if they write it on a piece of paper, it would probably satisfy. They would probably be fine with that. And so attempting uniformity means battling two other work centers' cultures. So the reason why we need uniformity is because they are taking our calls and they're working on our systems, but they have no job knowledge on that system at Altus. They have no idea what we did or if there's parts on order, and vice versa. We don't know anything that's happening in Europe or PACAF. We just get a call that a system's red. So, and battling other work centers' cultures. So I'm talking to the staff sergeants, the tech sergeants, masters, and senior master sergeants, and I'm trying to reach a common goal. But I'm not battling just one person. I'm battling the whole work center culture. And luckily, PACAF RMC, they were good about it, and a master sergeant over there was very excited to jump on board and reach this common goal. Whereas the senior master sergeant over at Europe, he was not about it whatsoever, and he thought that it's a very temporary solution and there's no need for it. So they just wanted the bare minimum. So they got a read-only document of what we currently work. So scope and time. I didn't include cost because it costed me $0. Well, it cost the Air Force $0 for me to make this. So goal was to be finished by October 1st, within 16 weeks. But I created it in 1 week to kind of solve the issue. So what I created was very bare bones, and it got us to be able to track jobs, and it was very successful. And then by October 2nd, actually, I pushed the final product, which has all the bells and whistles. And that was what you saw the screenshot of. So planning, I was really overworking myself, working 12 to 14 hours a day and maybe 6 to 7 days a week on my total work weeks. And so me breaking down the task and dividing it by week really helped me spend more time with my family, because once I reached that goal for the week, I was done. I wouldn't do any more work. Communication plan. I was very spontaneous at the beginning, just working at home station, trying to get this thing going at CONUS. I could just call anybody and at any time, and there was no issue. But when I started going to USAFE and PACAF, it got way harder because my only point of contact was through the DSN within their operating hours. So I would end up calling them every Wednesday, 06 and 1900 for PACAF. So in conclusion, I covered leadership and management skills, how I use DAC, and then team performance concepts. I described my role, then team diversity, the difference between Europe, PACAF, and CONUS, and then project management concepts. I covered how there was a scope and time. So anyway, thank you for listening, and if you're interested in learning any access, please let me know.